Alright, 5th grade, here we are. We are in the middle of our week 21. Happy Wednesday. What we're going to do today is we're going to make our final draft. Alright, so for our Black History Month final draft, it's very important to make sure that everything from this week is already done. Okay, we'll talk more tomorrow about we're going to kind of move forward here, talk about what we're going to do next, but it is very important that you have Monday, Tuesday done first, and now we'll do Wednesday. Okay, so what we are going to do is first make sure that you have open Tuesday's assignment, Tuesday, February 2nd. Have that open. Okay, here is what it should look like, and your work should be here and here. Okay, now this is my work. This isn't yours, but yours should look similar to mine. Here it is, your rough draft. Okay. For our final draft, what we are going to do is we're going to go down. We're going to skip this slide here. This is the video. We're going to put two things onto this slide here. We're going to put your introduction paragraph in your body paragraph number 1. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my rough draft. I'm going to go to my introduction, and I'm going to highlight all of this here, make sure all of it's highlighted, and I'm going to edit, I'm going to copy it, I'm going to put it on my final copy here, and I'm going to paste. Okay, so there's my introduction to my Black History Month final draft. Okay, now you can see I do have something that's highlighted here. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But to be done with my introduction for right now, I need to go to the very beginning of my introduction and indent. That is how I, Mr. Lund, knows that you have all of the paragraphs that you need. When we indent in a paragraph like this, that lets the reader know that there's a new paragraph. Okay? So the way that we do this is we push the tab button that is on the far left of your computer. It's just T-A-B. It's pretty easy. Push the tab button. That lets us know that there's a new paragraph right here. Introduction paragraph. Push the tab. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add our body paragraph number 1. Okay. And to do that, you see I'm clicked way over here on the end of my introduction. I'm going to push enter once. Okay. That tells me, if you see, it's already indented for me there. They're so nice. Google is so nice. It's given me the opportunity to indent without even pushing anything. So I'm going to go back to my rough draft, and I'm going to go to my body paragraph number 1. I'm going to copy, and I am going to paste. Okay. Now you can see when I pasted it, it kind of threw it off a little bit. It changed it. The size, which is not a big deal, but it did not let me indent. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of my body paragraph number 1. I'm going to push tab, and then there is my body paragraph number 2. Or excuse me, body paragraph number 1. My second paragraph, body paragraph number 1. So right now we have our introduction, and we have our body paragraph number 1. Okay. Now we are going to, so just before we move on, if you want to, if you feel like, this feels weird, Mr. Lund, why is it 2 different sizes? You can change this to be one thing. So if I highlight all of this, now what I can do here is I can change the font to be whatever I want it to be. We are going to go, you know what my favorite is? Coming soon. That's my favorite right there. Okay, you can see that it's still a little bit strange. I can change the size of it to all be the same, to be 14. Maybe if I want to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and then you see how there's kind of 2 different colors going on here? It's kind of strange, isn't it? If I highlight the whole thing and I go up here to right here, this is the text color, and I want it to all be black, and now there we go. Everything is the same font, it's the same size, and it's the same color. Okay, now let's go on to body paragraph number 2 and the conclusion, the second half of our essay. Go back to my rough draft here. Go to body paragraph number 2. Highlight all of that. I'm going to edit. I'm going to copy. Back here to my final draft. And I will paste. There it is. Now, if you remember, go back to the very beginning of our to our paragraph here. we're not ready to move on because we have not indented. We're going to push Tab. And there it is. Okay. And now from the very end of our paragraph, I'm going to push Enter to give us a new paragraph. I'm going to pick my conclusion last. Highlight all of that. I'm going to copy it. And I am going to paste it. Okay. Same thing happened there. Didn't indent. So I'm going to push Tab. There it is. Now, I am going to try to make this the same as my first slide here. And so I'm going to go to Coming Soon. Let's see what size we made this. If I click inside of this box, I can see what size it is. Ooh, look, 18. Okay, so this little box, all the text inside of this box is 18. I want this to be the same. So it looks like it's 18. That's great. It's coming soon, and I'm going to make this black. And now both of my slides are the same. Okay, the font is the same, the way the words look, the size is the same, and the color's the same. Awesome. Okay, so what I have right here is I have my final draft. This is ready for Mr. Lund to grade it. Okay, we've learned so much about this person. We are ready to have our work checked and to be put to a grade. Okay. Now, last thing, before we turn it in, we need to make sure, how do I know that my essay is ready? Okay, so what do I need to do before I turn it in to make sure it's ready? All right, now, if you look at yesterday's assignment, we did 3 things. We added a topic sentence, something to the very beginning of our work to let the author know, or the reader know kind of what we're talking about. Number 2, we added transitions. And then number 3, we added some pronouns. And the last thing that we are going to do today in our final draft is we are going to make sure that we did those things. All right. So if you look, our our topic sentence is, for my essay, I chose to write about blank because blank. So I go back and look at my final copy. The topic sentence should be the first sentence of your essay. Okay. And here is my topic sentence. The person I chose for my essay is Maya Angelou because she had a way of writing that made me feel like I could make a difference in the world. All right, now if you look, it's exactly what the topic sentence should be all about. For my essay, I chose to write about blank because blank. All right, so I want you to do this as well. When you know that you're ready to go, in this box right here, I want you to insert, and you're going to go down here to shape, and you are going to put whatever shape you want, probably not a square because we already have a square. You could put a smiley face, you could put a rainbow, you could put a sun, you could put, this looks like a cloud kind of. I'm going to pick let's do a heart. It's kind of fun since it's, February. So when I know that this one is done, I'm going to put a heart right there. You can always change this color as well if you want, but that's not the end of the world. But this lets me know that you have chosen a topic sentence to put in your essay. Okay? Now, transitions. We talked about transitions yesterday. Transitions are things like next, then, last, also. Those are words that kind of tell us that we're transitioning into something new. Everything that I highlighted are transitions. Okay? It lets the reader know that we are moving on to talk about something else. Okay? Like, for instance, we were talking about in my essay here, if you want to pause this and read it and have an idea of what we're going to kind of go with here, talked about her family, everything, her grandma, whatever, and then we're moving on. She went to schools across the USA and eventually toured Europe as a part of an opera. So this transition word right here, then it's telling us we're moving past her family and talking about her going into school. Okay? So that's one transition that I used. Then Maya Angelou went on to become a writer. So this right here, this transition, kind of talking about, hey, she moved on to the next part of her life, transitioning into a new thing into Maya Angelou's life. Okay, so that's the transition I used then. Also, as a writer, we're talking now about as a writer. So not only because she became a writer, but she had many accomplishments. Now we're transitioning into talking about those accomplishments that she had, such as the New York Times bestseller and the Presidential Medal of Freedom for Barack Obama in 2010. Okay, so those are the transitions that I used. Those ones that I used, I want you to put them in your work as much as you can. Even if they don't feel 100% right, it's better to use them and to have the reader know that you're transitioning into something new, even if they're not 100% right. Okay, so all the transitions that I used, I want you to use them as much as you can. Okay, and now here on the second slide here with our second half of our essay, all right, we go here. So we're talking about interesting facts. She was the first best-selling author. It's an African American. Also, her lasting effect will be that so many young authors will be inspired by her and start careers of their own. So we're kind of moving on to now her impact as a person, not necessarily what she did, not as just like a fact, but also how can people look up to her. So I'm going to take away that one there. But that is a transition. Another also that we are now transitioning into what we're going to talk about next. And then last here, in our conclusion, I transitioned one more time. I chose Maya Angelou because that's telling the author to now kind of change their thinking. For Maya Angelou, to me, I chose Maya Angelou because she has a writing style that sounds as though she is speaking right to me, and I've never heard a writer write that way. Okay, so that is the transition there. On this slide as well, use those transitions that I use as much as you can. Those are things that are going to help you out. Okay, so we did use transitions. We're good to go there. Just before we put a heart there. This may sound awkward. This may seem a little bit strange, and you may not want to do this, but I guarantee it'll be good for you. To know if you use transitions well, you will read this out loud, and it will sound like you are talking. If it sounds natural, and it sounds like something that you could present to people with your words, then you're good. If it sounds kind of like a robot is talking, if it sounds like this is not really something that you would say, it doesn't feel very comfortable, then you need to go back and add more transitions. In our speech, the way that we talk as humans, we use a lot of transitions. All right, so please go back, read it out loud, and if it feels comfortable, then you can go ahead and say, yes, I'm good to go. If you feel like, I'm not 100% sure, have somebody else read it. Have a sibling, have a parent read it, and you know what? It will feel so much better when they've read it and they say, yes, this sounds like something that you would say. Okay? Yeah, there was a weird sound there. Sorry. A thing had fallen. My cat is going crazy. Okay? So, once you feel like you are good to go with that one as well, with transitions, let me know. Okay, we can move on. All right, and then last thing before we turn it in. Did I use pronouns and proper nouns? Okay, now, here's a good rule of thumb. Which a rule of thumb means it's kind of an idiom. It's not like for real, like the rules of your thumbs. What it means is, here's kind of a way to think about whenever you do writing, here's a good way to think. There should be a good mix of pronouns and proper nouns. Okay, so pronouns are things like he, she, they, and proper nouns is just their name. So if you're writing about a person, you should see the words he, she, or they a lot. You should also see their name a lot. Okay, if you just see the words he or she, then that's not good enough. You need to also add their name. If you only see their name, that's not good enough. You need to make sure that you add some he's and some she's. For instance, okay, so the person I chose was Maya Angelou. There's a name right there. That's great, because she had a way of writing that made me feel good. She, okay, you can see I put a couple pronouns here, some she's, and then look, right here, I put Maya Angelou again. There's another name, okay. I put another she right here, and then if we go down here, I put Maya Angelou again. I put some she's again. And then I put Maya Angelou again. I tried to mix it up as best as I can. That makes the reader remember, who am I talking about? When I say she, who am I talking about? Okay? So, once you have done that and you have added kind of a nice mixture of both names and pronouns, you're good to go. 10:05, office hours. I'll see you there if you need help.